What's up, guys? I'm excited to get you started with this Jeet Kune Do primer so you can get on the bags and start working that Jeet Kune Do kickboxing, getting in shape, getting your punches and your kicks down. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to go over is the stance. Now, Bruce Lee was a fan of fighting with your strong side forward, which for most of us is our right side. Conventional fighting styles like boxing tend to put their strong side back to give it even more power. The reason why Bruce Lee liked the strong side forward was because Jeet Kune Do means the way of the intercepting fist. And so he liked to intercept with that front side. It's closer to the target. Now, whichever route you decide to go, I think ultimately it's best to develop both sides anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Pick the side that's going to feel the easiest. So what are the goals of the Jeet Kune Do fighting stance, what is commonly referred to as the on guard position? It's mainly two things. You want to have good mobility and you want to have a solid structure. You want to have good balance. So I want you to get into a stance where you feel like you can move easily and that you can turn your hips. If you feel off balance, you're probably standing like you're on a tightrope. Your feet are too narrow. Do you see how my feet are lined up with each other? That's going to make it really hard to turn over on my punches. And if I get hit, it's going to knock me over. So I need my feet to be a little bit wider. If, however, my feet are too wide, it's going to make moving a lot harder. The next thing is I want you to lift that back heel up. That back heel up allows you to be more springy, more mobile, so you can have more impact into your punches. Okay, so that's the on guard position. That's the fighting stance. There are different, what we call guards or ways to hold your hands. So this is known as a high guard. I'm looking through my wrists. This is where I like to start most people, but you'll also notice that Bruce Lee tend to have his lead hand low. The way my instructor taught me was that this backhand moves anywhere around your face. It's up because it's your main defensive tool, and your front hand can basically go anywhere. It can be high, it can be low. So now let's go through our techniques. And I'm going to break this down. We're going to go over our footwork. Then we're going to go over the main punches and kicks that you're going to need for the workouts that I have for you. And then finally, we're going to go over a few extra techniques that are maybe a little bit more complicated or not in the workouts as much, but they are in there. Let's start with footwork. One of my favorite tools to use is to put a glove or a mitt or something in the middle of the floor to move around with. So I'm going to use this as my reference point. Now, when I'm in my fighting stance, if I want to move forward, I can take my front foot forward and then my back foot slides up with it. And it's just about 6 inches. If I want to move back, I can do the same. Okay? If I want to move right, I go right foot, left foot. If I want to go left, I go left foot, right foot. And I'm just taking small steps. I'm never crossing my feet. Easy way to remember it is whichever direction you're going, that's the foot you move first. So that's how I move when I'm just kind of like stalking my opponent. We're going to also work on curving steps, what I call walking the clock. I'll start over here and I just go around in a circle, just like this, making sure that whenever I stop, I'm in my fighting stance. If I'm going this way, I'm doing the same thing, always returning to my stance. Okay, next is we're going to work on what's called a push shuffle. So this is one of our first attacking footworks. And it's essentially like a step and slide, but I'm going to drive off this back leg. So I lift my front leg and I drive off my back leg. A lot of people see this and they think that it's a jump. Okay, I don't want you to jump. So really in slow motion, you are lifting your front foot and then jumping forward off the back leg, not a jump off the front. Now with this, I can connect a lead straight, so a punch with my lead hand. I can do what you'll hear me refer to as a power cross. Basically, I can push off and land rear straight, or I can lift my front leg up and use it to sort of hop in with a kick here like this. Okay, so that push shuffle is going to come in handy a lot. So now we're going to go back to these curving steps. And this time we're gonna add a little bit of that push shuffle energy to them. So if I need to quickly get to my left, I'm going to push off my right foot. Or if I'm going to go towards my back leg, I'm gonna push off my front. So I'm going to push here. So I lift my back foot and I push off my front, okay? I call this a drag step, and I can connect other things to it. I can connect a hook, and now it's a drag hook. So I drag my hook past the person, catching them as I'm circling out. Or I can duck, what I sometimes call a duck step. All I do is I duck my head as I go under, okay? So a duck step. I combine it as I drop. That way a punch can go right over my head, and then I'm on the other side to counter. If I want to curve to my right, what I can do is step to my right, I take this shoulder, my back shoulder forward, and then I swing my back leg out. So I'm using this, what we call a slip. I'm using that to get momentum going this way, and then I swing this leg around. I call this a swing step, and I can attach techniques to it. So maybe the person punches, I slip their punch, and now I do what I call a swing hook. As this foot goes back, boom, I pivot and hit with my hook. 1, 2, that's a swing hook. Or again, I can do that same weave or duck. So the person punches, I go under, and then swing out. So again, I'm here, hop, hop, here, and I'm loaded up to fire the next shot. Okay, so now let's go over what's called the slide step. Now a slide step is how I get into range for kicks. So my back foot's going to slide up to my front foot, and then I'm just going to send that leg out. Okay, so I slide up, kick. So if I'm far away, if I'm here and that's my opponent, I might close the distance with a kick so that now I'm in punching range. Okay, so that's a slide step, is right here. If I'm just working the footwork, I slide and I step. Okay, I can also do the same motion back. And if I put them together, we call that a pendulum step, because my feet essentially make like a little pendulum. So it's like that. Okay, so again, it might be a kick. So a couple common ones you're going to see is a lead thrust kick into a rear thrust kick, which will look like this. I slide up, lead thrust, and then as I go back, I use that springboard of my back leg hitting the ground to spring the second one out. So I'm trying to load up power in that rear leg. So I'm going 1, 2, like this. The second one you'll see a lot is I'm going to go lead round kick, pendulum back, side kick. Okay, so I'll do that one more time. So I go lead round kick, side kick. All right, so that's another way that we'll use the pendulum footwork.